Hello gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Solospelunking Vacation or Holiday Edition. And if you're wondering why am I doing videos while I'm on vacation, because I like it and I got lots of time on my hands now because the girls, they're out riding again. So and the weather is not that good today here, so I got time to make a video, and I really want to make a video because I want to make a video about an important subject, and also a subject that I think a lot of people are looking for information about, and this is the subject of journaling in solo RPGs. And why am I doing this video now? Because I have seen 2 videos about it, so I want to give a quick shout out here to Man Alone and Artichoke Dip, and they just released videos about journaling in solo RPGs on their channels, and I really like those videos and they resonated with me, and they inspired me or created the urge to also talk about the subject, because I think it is an important subject in solo RPGing, and I think you can never have enough perspective on the matter. So this is not meant to be a knockoff, or I do not want to surf the hype wave. I just want to give you my thoughts in this video. So what do I want to do? I made a little list here. So first I wanted to give a shout out, which I did. Then I'm going to tell you from my perspective and in my opinion why I'm doing another video on the topic. And this is all my perspective and in my opinion, so always keep that in mind. I'm going to talk about why you probably should journal while playing solo RPGs. And tied into that, I want to get into how to change your mindset so that it doesn't really feel like a chore when you journal. And then, of course, I want to tell you how I do it, how I found my way, and last but not least, show, don't tell. I got my journal right here from my current game I'm playing off camera, my private vacation game, and I played 2 sessions so far, and I just want to show you my journal entries from that game so that you get a better idea. So this is not scripted, this was not meant, or I didn't journal with the intention of showing this to YouTube. This just happened now because I saw those other videos. So this is, as always in my channel, the unedited, unfiltered, raw, ugly truth of gaming right from the table to you. So you will get an insight at the end of the video into my current game. Alright, so why another video on the topic? Because I think it is an important topic when it comes to this hobby of ours, solo RPGing. And why is that? Because I think finding the right way to journal, and if you want to call it that, making your peace with it, is an important step to unlock the door to the joyful world of solo RPGing and to the unlimited possibilities this hobby provides. And to underline this, basically, I want to tell you my own story about how I started solo RPGing and my quest to find the perfect way to journal. Because this is why I'm I'm personally invested in this topic, because this was actually the thing I also struggled with the most. So, and this is what Man Alone called this hump. So you are reading about solo RPGing and you think, maybe I should get into solo RPGing. And then you have this hump to overcome, this obstacle to actually sit down and do it. And then when you do it, yeah, it feels weird the first time. So I've been doing this for over a decade now. So I started solo RPGing before my oldest daughter was born, and she turns 12 in April. So it's over a decade. Maybe it's 11 years, maybe 12, maybe 13 years. And I remember how I started. I read the Mythic GM emulator, the first edition, and it all made perfect sense. And I found it basically eye-opening, and I said, all right, I want to do this. And then I can remember as if it was yesterday, my first session. I sat down at the table in our apartment. I was already married by the time, and I decided to play Star Wars. And I sat down there with my character sheet, and I had a rule book, and this is also what I talked about in my live stream, and I hit a blank because I didn't know how to play. Should I talk to myself, or how do I document it? And it all sounded so easy when you read these Mythic game examples, but to actually do it and to not know how do others do it, and am I doing it right? And so this was something I struggled with. And so this was for me, so when I found my perfect way to journal, for me this was like this unlocking this door to solo RPGing. And this is why I think it is an important topic, and why you can never get too many perspectives on the subject, because if you're at peace with it, if you want to call it that, your solo RPGing will be a lot easier. It'll flow more naturally, and you just don't even think about journaling anymore. So why should you probably keep a journal? Because if you keep a journal, and with journal I mean some form of documenting or recording your game sessions. It does not necessarily have to be a journal. It doesn't have to be handwriting, and like Manalone said, it can be text to speech, it can be doodling, it can be whatever, word processor, writing by hand, an audio or voice recorder. It can be any of those things. So if I'm using the term journaling, I'm actually meaning find a way to document and record your session. And why should you probably do this? And in my opinion, there are several reasons. First, of course, to have a record of your game session. So that if you have, for example, like a longer break, you can easily go back and get yourself up to speed. So to create something lasting, to have a record of your game session. But more importantly, I think you should journal or document your actions, your session, to solidify the actions of your hero or your party in the game world, to give them some sort of binding, to make your actions binding, to root them into the world, so that it is basically not set in stone, because of course you can always go back, but to give your actions a lasting meaning and consequence in the game world. Because I think if you document something, either by voice recorder or by writing it down, you make it permanent. It happened in this world, it is rooted in this world, it is bound to this world. And for me, this is one of the important aspects of solo gaming, because obviously you do not have a group or a game master to describe your actions to. So if you are in a group game, of course you have to speak out loud what you're doing. You're describing your actions to the other players and to the GM. And then they can hold you to that. So if you want to do something, the GM, he could say, but no, you said you were going there, and you said you didn't have this with you. So there's some sort of instance, basically, that makes your actions binding. But you do not have that in a solo RPG because you're playing by yourself. So if you still want to have some sort of standard you can hold yourself to, this is where the journal or the documenting comes in. So summarize, you want to have or keep a record of your session to get yourself up to speed. You want to solidify your actions and give a meaning in the game world. And another important aspect is you want to enrich your campaign with recurring characters, villains, and locations. Of course, you could also write this down in an extra section or notebook without keeping a record of your actual session. But if you got to do the work anyway and write this stuff down, why just not do it in one go and integrate it into your journal? And to quote Artichoke Dip here, if you do not journal, you would be basically playing constant one-shots. And this is perfectly fine if that is the type of game you want to play. So if you say, all right, I'm creating a character, I'm playing one adventure, and then this is it. And then I might be using this character to play another adventure, but it is not tied to what I played before, and it might be set in a completely different setting or game world. That is perfectly fine. But if you want to do a lasting campaign, I think you probably should journal because of the reasons I just stated. So to enrich your campaign world with recurring characters, to solidify your actions, to have a record of your game session. And this is also one of the most important things for me, and I have talked about this several times already. For me, keeping the journal is like a focus like a spell focus, if you will, an implement that keeps my thoughts focused in the moment, in the story, in the game, that keep them from wandering off. Because you got to concentrate on writing this stuff down, and then your thoughts are focused, at least my thoughts are focused more into the story. I usually use the term daydream here so that it does not feel just like daydreaming. If I imagine it all in my head, for me, this journaling part, this actually physical part of writing the stuff down in paper is actually the act of playing. And this leads to point 4 that I want to touch or go into in this video, and this is how to change your mindset so that it doesn't feel like a chore. And I already gave you the answer. Don't think about journaling as a chore. Don't think about it as something you have to do, but rather think about it as playing. Journaling is playing. So if this sinks into your mind, it's not really separated from the actual act of playing. It is playing. And why do I say that? And here I want to quote the D&D basic rules. Those are the basic rules you can download for free. And there on page 4, second column, you will find the section How to Play. And there it says, 1, the GM or DM describes the environment. And 2, the players describe what they want to do. But in a solo game, there is no one to describe it to. So who do you describe your actions to? Well, of course, your journal. So, the DM description, you have to do it yourself, of course, so you might generate a prompt or you have a good idea of where you're at, so you maybe write down a sentence or two about the environment. And then you have to make a decision. What do I want to do? What does my character want to do? And if you are in a group, you would say, all right, I am going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to walk over to this guy and talk to him. But if you're playing solo, there's no one to describe it to. So journaling is playing. I get my journal out, I just write a short sentence. I walk over to the beggar and talk to him. And this is all it needs. So in my journal, and we get to that if I go to point 5, how I do it. In my journal, you will not find a lot of descriptions that go into very detailed descriptions of the environment, only if I feel it necessary. So basically, my journal is exactly like I told to you. I'm just writing a sentence or two down what my character does. This is to keep me invested in the story, to help me picture this image in my mind of what my character does. And this is why in my mindset, the act of journaling is actually playing. It doesn't matter if I write a sentence in my journal, if I make a skill check and roll the dice, or if I engage in combat. It is all playing. So journaling is playing. And if you adapt this mindset, I think this boundary between playing and journaling does not exist anymore. And it doesn't feel like a chore. And this is what I think, in my opinion, is a very important point. All right, so now point 5. How I do it. How do I do it? I already gave you a little impression. So I usually write short sentences from or in the I perspective. I do not give a lot of detailed descriptions about the environment unless I feel it helps to set the mood. And for me, writing a sentence or two into the journal replaces the act of describing it to other players and the GM, which is not there. I do short paragraphs. I leave a blank between the paragraphs, just in case I might need to add something later or make another note or something. I underline or color code names, locations, and important events, so that when I flip through my journal, I can identify them more easily. And you can see this in my very first Star Wars video series that I posted here on this channel with the different color codes. And if my journal is numbered, if it features numbered pages, and they usually do, you could also, if you refer to an event, put the page number that you're referring to where this happened in parentheses, so that it's easier to cross-reference different things. So yeah, and this is how I do it. And now, maybe so that it all falls into place, I want to give you a few actually practical examples of my current ongoing campaign. And like I said, I'm testing out a minimalist rule set called Lighthearted, which incorporates the Daggerheart task resolution mechanic. And so this is basically where I started my session. I'm playing, and this is what I have done so far. And now where I am, the wind is picking up. I need to take a short break. No, I can't do a short break actually here because I do not have editing equipment here, so I can't put the clips together. So I'll just go on. Yeah, so this is basically my journal, and I'm going to just read to you a couple of paragraphs from different pages so that you can get an overview. So like I said, I only do descriptions if I think it helps set the scene. And this is what I did in the beginning. So I'm starting out in a city, and so I wrote down, my travels have brought me into the large metropolis of Delmar, the gateway to the untamed wilds to the east. So this is basically one sentence. And then, and I do not really document dice rolls in my journal, only every once in a while. So here I rolled percentile dice to determine the size of the city, and I rolled a 91. So this is a pretty big city, and I incorporated this into this text here. I'm overwhelmed by the sheer size, and I put this in parentheses, of the city. And just to give it some more perspective, I wrote down 19,000 inhabitants. It is a huge, sprawling complex of temples, warehouses, markets, taverns, inns, and whatever else you can think of. Then I leave a blank. A constant stream of travelers and merchants pours into and out of the city. Caravans prepare for their dangerous journey to the dwarven city of Kargosh or the city of Milra to the north. So here I went into a little detail, but I really wanted to set the scene of this large medieval fantasy town. And I think you get a pretty good impression from these 3 paragraphs of what the city looks like. And when I'm playing the session, I'm also using my framework that I did. So then I just write down, and this is what the description, what I do. I describe it to my journal, and it can be really short. I just write down, head for tavern. So not even a real sentence. Head for tavern, no encounter. So I rolled, no encounter. And then just flesh it out a little. I find my way to the nearest tavern to get an ale and a warm stew. While I'm eating my stew, I focus on overhearing some conversation. So here I wanted to see if I can pick up some rumors from the rumor table. So the target number was 10, and I failed with 1 resolve. So I sometimes put the results in here to then continue my journal. Fail plus R means plus resolve. And I interpret this, it is just too loud to make out any details. No encounter, so this is again metagaming stuff. I rolled if there's a tavern encounter, and I tracked the time so that I have a good feel of where I am in the adventuring day. Alright, so this is an example. Then here I took place in this card tournament, and this was also random, because I rolled an exceptional yes on Mythic when I wanted to look for some gambling opportunities. So I interpreted this as that there's a big tournament going on. And then I won this tournament, and I wanted to create, because I also won with a critical hit, critical success, and I wanted to create this tension. So here I went again into more detail. I win my way into the final round of the tournament. So far it was very intense, but this final match is something else. The entire tavern crowd gathers around our table. You could cut through the air, the tension is high. It comes down to the last hand. With an iron stare and a streak of good fortune, I win the tournament and the prize money of 80 gold pieces. So here again I went into more detail, but this is what I mean by journaling is playing. For me, this created a picture in my mind, and I really felt that I'm in the game. And this is, for me, it didn't feel like a chore. This was me playing the game. And then here I went to look for quests, and here I just write down, I give 10 gold pieces to the tavern keeper to buy rounds for everyone. ask about a nice and clean inn to stay at, and head over there without incident. So this short paragraph, I made an encounter check here, and then I get a room for the night and the following night with a nice meal, bath and clothes washing included. And so this is just for me again to picture this in my mind to keep me focused in the story. All right, so and here I took a quest. This is not important, but here then a random encounter occurred, a lost child by the encounter table in the framework. And so here I worked this into the story and I felt I could connect it to the quest. This is how I interpreted this encounter. I head back towards my inn to make plans for the night. The desperate crying of a little boy catches my attention. So this was the random encounter. Then I just in one sentence what I do. I walk up to him and talk to him, trying to calm him down and ask what is wrong. The boy, Lars, explains that he has lost his parents. They went out last night when he went to bed, but they didn't return. And then I put down a little yes-no questions that I basically asked the boy and had answered with mythic. And so I put those results here. And then I did some stuff, and then I went to this bar where the parents were last seen, and then I talked to the barkeeper. It was a female barkeeper, and then again mythic questions. Does she know them? Very likely, because they were regulars. Were they here last night? With the odds and the answers. When did they leave? And then I incorporated this, and did she hear or see anything unusual? And I rolled an exceptional yes. And then I incorporated this into the journal I just wrote down. And now, because I wanted to create some sort of atmosphere, or I pictured this conversation in my mind, I actually used direct speech, which I also don't do very often. Usually I just describe what the content of the conversation was. So, but here then she talks. Yeah, I heard something. A thud followed by a scream. Sounded pretty close. More yelling. Sounded like a struggle. Came from the side alley. I grabbed my club and checked, but I saw nothing as I got there. Reported it to the night watch and went about my business. Alright, and then there's some gaming stuff. I thank her and make my way into the side alley, looking for signs of a struggle and possible clues and witnesses. And here I rolled a critical success again. And for the findings and what I observed, I did some oracle rolls, so this is not that important. But this another thing I want to show you. So whenever I roll doubles, or doubles also on the task resolution roll, a random event takes place. And here I talk to a beggar that I found there that saw something. I talk to the beggar and try to get some more info out of him. He directs me toward the side alley. I slip him a coin, so there's no direct speech here, and head for the alley. It's 1830. And then I was asking if I was attacked, because I determined before that I was observed. No, but a random event, a mundane setback. This is from the mything. So and a mundane setback, the first thing that comes into my mind is that from a window someone empties a bucket of sewage basically onto me. So as I enter the alley, someone dumps a bucket full of piss and sewage out of the window. Unfortunately, while I was passing underneath. I stink of piss and shit and have to focus to not throw up. Excuse my language. This is it. I call it a night. The parents and goblins will have to wait. I return to my inn without incident. Pay again for bath and cleaning service. So, and this is where I left off. So now you have an idea of how it looks like, paragraphs, and how I journal things. And I think maybe you also get an idea of this change in mindset of journaling actually is playing. because while I'm writing this down, I'm mentally invested into the game and I can picture it all, the scenes in my head. And this is why for me it does not feel like a chore anymore, and I like it. And for me this is actually the act of gaming, but it has taken me a long time to get there. And this is why I think it is an important subject, and this is why I think there can't be enough videos about it out. So I would like again to give a shout out to Artichoke Dip and Man Alone for their great videos. This was my perspective, and I also hope that you maybe gained something from this video. And if you did, and if you like what I'm doing, please do subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay safe and stay healthy, and have a wonderful remaining week until the next video. Bye bye.